Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3 Live at 4 on this Thursday.
Nice day today.
Yeah, actually, it was nice this morning. Took the dogs for a long walk.
I know, a little breeze, felt good, but hope you enjoyed it.
That's right. We'll have the weather details in just a sec, but first, here's what's making news on this Thursday. Police are investigating more car thefts. Rose Schmidt shares that story with us.
It may sound a little unusual, but Madison Fire says a popular topping for sushi is starting some restaurant fires. We'll explain.
And in national news, the Trump administration says they're going ahead with immigration raids planned for this weekend. We'll have the latest from Washington.
Let's take a look outside today. Plenty of sunshine, 80 degrees, a little breeze.
Not as humid. It's still warm out, don't get us wrong, but we're headed toward a heat wave. A tropical heat wave. Dave Caulfield's in the backyard enjoying it while we can.
Yeah, I'll just keep staying out here, and maybe if I stay in this one spot and don't move, the weather will follow suit. I think that's a little bit idealistic at this point, but it's beautiful this afternoon, and it will be a beautiful evening as well in Madison, looking at pretty much wall-to-wall sunshine on the WISC-TV Skycam. Temperatures are in the low 80s, north-northwest wind at 7 miles per hour. That dew point comfortably in the upper 50s. Some other temperatures, 84 in Janesville, 80 in Platteville, 84 in Boscobel, and 83 in Prairie du Chien. Those dew points, we have some 40s showing up in the Dells. That feels fantastic outside. A few 60s here and there, so that's starting to notice that dew point, but really not bad, and especially not bad compared to where we will be at times next week. The day planner showing those temperatures continuing to fall through the 80s and through the 70s for the evening hours with clear skies overhead. So here's a look at your first alert traffic update. We're taking a live look at the Beltline and Fish Hatchery Road. We're seeing some major slow go on the eastbound side. Westbound not looking too bad at the present time. No major accidents or incidents to report across Dane County, but we are seeing those normal slowdowns start to pile up on that eastbound Beltline. 20 minutes right now from Verona Road to John Nolan Drive on the Beltline. Eastbound, average speed of around 15 miles per hour. And some other routes in and around Madison not looking too bad. Middleton to Sauk City, that'll cost you 16 minutes. That's showing up green. Average speed of around 60 miles per hour. That is your first alert traffic update. Sorry, I started to think about the heat wave coming next week, and my mouth just stopped working. So we'll talk more about that and how to get ready for it in your forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. First at 4, 2 teens were arrested, and a third suspect is still on the loose following a chase near the UW-Madison campus last night.
Police say 3 UW-PD officers were treated and released after they were scraped up and bruised during the incident. Rose Schmidt explains what happened and advice officers have for all of us. Rose?
Yes, well, UW-PD says a 15-year-old was driving a stolen car with a 17-year-old passenger, but they're still looking for a third person involved. Some of the best advice officers have is to make sure you lock your cars and do not leave the keys inside. UW police say yesterday after 7 p.m. an officer saw a stolen car headed west on Regent Street. The teens in the car were suspects in a home invasion earlier in the day, so the officers tried to stop the car, but it took off, later crashing when it hit the curb on Roby Road near Camp Randall. Police say the 3 people inside the car ran away, and officers set up a perimeter, finally catching 2 of them near Babcock Drive on campus.
These are the same people that are responsible for these crimes time and time again. We're happy we're able to get them off the street, especially considering how dangerous they were driving and the risk that they took, putting especially those in the community in the danger that they were in.
The driver is tentatively charged with fleeing and eluding, and the passenger is charged with resisting. UW police say they released the suspects to Madison police as investigators there are considering more charges related to previous crimes. And a different incident also involving a stolen car happened overnight in Fitchburg when 3 14-year-olds were arrested after Fitchburg officers say they led them on a chase that came to a stop under the Beltline on Park Street. All 3 teens were taken to the Juvenile Reception Center on multiple charges.
Thank you, Rose.
Mandatory evacuations are underway, and a hurricane watch is in effect right now for parts of the Louisiana coast as a tropical storm picks up speed in the Gulf of Mexico. New Orleans is in the crosshairs and is already dealing with severe flash flooding. Thousands have been ordered to evacuate as a tropical storm gains strength in the Gulf. City officials in New Orleans expect the slow-moving storm to start dumping more rain on the area as early as as tomorrow. The National Weather Service says the tropical weather that's on its way could become the first hurricane of the season.
What that means is that there's a possibility, as it's moving slow, that we're going to get heavy rainfall for up to 48 hours.
Other things that may be of concern for the city and for the area will be storm surge. Water is the killer 75% of the time when it comes to hurricanes and tropical storms. It's not the wind.
Many residents who lived through Hurricane Katrina are concerned about the city's drainage pumps. 8 inches of rain fell in just 3 hours in Louisiana's largest city yesterday.
The Trump administration is focused on immigration, with raids on undocumented immigrants planned for this weekend and an executive action to get citizenship information. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
Immigration and customs officers are planning raids across the country to detain undocumented immigrants.
Well, we're not going to say when operational elements are going to roll out.
The New York Times reports the raids will begin Sunday in at least 10 major cities and take place over a couple of days. ICE agents are targeting at least 2,000 immigrants who have been ordered deported but remain in the country illegally.
There's approximately 1 million people in this country with removal orders.
The Times reports officials will also carry out collateral deportations, detaining immigrants on the scene even if they are not targets of the raid.
Collateral means kids being left. It means moms, dads, families being torn apart. It is absolutely disgusting.
The Trump administration is also working on a way to get citizenship information, and the president is set to make an announcement about that this afternoon. CBS News has learned to lay out some sort of executive action. The White House wanted a citizenship question on the 2020 census, but had to pursue a different path after the Supreme Court blocked it. The High Court called the rationale for the question contrived and said the government could not move forward without a solid justification. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
House Democrats are also trying to investigate the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy, which mandated everyone caught crossing the border illegally should be prosecuted, which led to family separations at the border. The House Judiciary Committee issued subpoenas yesterday morning, ordering current and past administration officials come to testify about the policy.
More local news now. A cooking technique is being blamed for fires at 2 Madison sushi restaurants.
Our Eric Franke has more on how investigators are addressing this issue with the restaurants. Eric?
Yeah, Susan and Mark, the Madison Fire Department says the restaurants are making a tempura-like crunch with a water and flour batter. It's deep fried in cooking oil and then placed in a container to dry and cool. But they say sometimes cooking oils like soybean and canola oil can self-heat. When that crunch is placed in a bowl, it can trigger a fire. And they say that's what happened in separate fires earlier this year at the Sumo Steakhouse and Sushi Bar. That's on Parkside Drive on the east side back in April. And at Takara Japanese Restaurant on the west side on Whitney Way a month later. Those fires caused an estimated $575,000 in damage.
This is spontaneous combustion, just in a different format that a lot of us are not familiar with. And so we're here today to try to spread the word that this is definitely a fire hazard, and we want to educate people on what's called sushi crunch.
During their investigation, firefighters identified 5 other restaurants, all of them in Wisconsin, that also had fires due to the same food preparation technique. And the Madison Fire sharing a fire hazard bulletin. They're trying to educate through routine inspections of restaurants and also obviously reaching out to specific restaurants that prepare food this way, hoping to prevent these fires from happening in the future. Mark and Susan.
Learn something new every day.
Sure do.
All right,
Sushi
Eric.
crunch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. A part of State Street has been transformed into a campsite today. LL Bean is hosting S'more Out of Summer today until 7 o'clock. People can roast s'mores, play yard games, and enjoy the nice weather today. LL Bean says it's just a way to get people to get outside and enjoy the summer before the winter comes.
It's a good idea.
It is a good idea.
Well, there's more to come at 4. Amazon is making a huge investment in its workforce.
The goal is to get humans and robots to work together to help the online shopping giant become even more efficient. We'll have that story when Live at 4 continues.
Well, Amazon is a global leader in the use of artificial intelligence and robots.
But the online giant is revealing how it plans to invest more than $700 million on its human workforce. At this 125,000 square foot facility outside of Denver, it looks like the robots are running the show, but behind each of these roughly 800 robots is a skilled employee managing the daily flow of traffic at the center. The number of companies investing in training their current employees will climb from 54% to 84% by next year, according to a Manpower Group study. New York University business professor Ari Ginsberg says so-called upskilling programs help companies retain their employees and keep recruiting costs down.
If you don't know how to manage the technology and incorporate it, you can fall behind very quickly.
According to a 2018 World Economic Jobs report, by 2022, at least 54% of employees in all industries will require significant upskilling training due to artificial intelligence and other automation technologies. There's a new word you learned today, upskilling.
2022? Good grief. Well, thanks to healthcare stocks, the Dow Industrials crossed a new milestone today. The blue chip index closed above the 27,000 mark for a record close of 27,088. The NASDAQ Composite Index lost 6.5, but the S&P 500 gained 6 points, closing just shy of the 3,000 mark. And is our tradition here on Live at 4, when the Dow crosses another 1,000 milestone, we have a little toast.
Yes, it's just something fun to do.
So, would you like some lemonade?
Oh, I would love some.
Naturally
Thank you very
flavored.
much. Thank you so much. We've got Joel Patnout from Madison Magazine is with us here.
And we haven't done this in quite a while.
No, that's true. Hi, Joel.
Joel,
Hi.
give you a little, give you a little shot of lemonade here.
Yeah,
What did you do? Grab a mug from your, what is
I
that?
did. That's what was on. That's what we have
Cheers
at
to
the magazine.
27,000.
Cheers, cheers. Happy summer, Joel.
Hope
Thank
the
you very
401k
much.
is doing well.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's yummy. That's a perfect day for that today.
All right. So, lemonade, weekend in the 608.
Yeah.
Joel's here.
He's filling in for Emmy Fink this week. Hi, Joel.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Big art weekend.
It is. Art Fair on the Square is this weekend,
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, the 61st annual, if you can believe it. Organized for and by as a fundraiser by the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. Every year, nearly 200,000 people, unbelievably, make their way to the square, and they browse the close to 500 booths of fine art, paintings, sculpture, jewelry, and clothing. Listen to the live music on 3 stages, and this year take their little ones to the kids area to decorate balloons and kites and screen print their own t-shirts. But always, you have to remember, there's art fair off the square as well.
After a couple of laps?
Yep, do a couple laps, and then between the Capitol and Monona Terrace, there are another 140 artists, all from Wisconsin, that are set up as well.
Wow, it's a great Madison tradition, and tomorrow on Live at 4, we'll meet one of the artists at Art Fair this year.
Excellent.
Great festival season. La Fête de Marquette is this weekend.
Yeah, starting tonight and running through the weekend. This is a francophone, French-tinged music festival that's in McPike Park, a couple blocks north of Willie Street. There's live music throughout, and each of the four days of the festival. For example, Saturday and Sunday, festival goers will be treated to, and I cheated, this is in French, Souki Marchand du Bois.
Ooh.
Well done.
Yes.
Oui, oui.
That's a funk band from France that plays exclusively on 1930s era brass instruments.
That's specific.
But there's
that's cool.
lots of music going on, multiple stages, kids activity, food, beverages. It's pretty much the complete package, entertainment-wise, this weekend.
And a summer tradition.
Indeed.
All right, there's also a unique event at the Majestic Theater.
Yes, it's the launch party tonight, I should say, at the Majestic for Loom. This is a music streaming platform created by former UW-Madison students and backed financially by Madison-based Frank Productions. A slate of Midwestern acts, independent and up-and-coming acts, the kind of music that Loom is promoting and distributing, will be playing. That includes Madison electronic DJ Zisco, a Chicago pop band named Austin, and hip-hop artists from Milwaukee and St. Paul.
What a great idea. Great idea.
How about some stand-up comedy this weekend?
Yes. If you've... Ron Funches is a very funny comedian who you've probably seen on Curb Your Enthusiasm and Blackish, or heard him voicing characters on the animated shows Bob's Burgers and Adventure Time. He also is a stand-up comic, and he's bringing his Merriment Marauder tour to Comedy on State, and he's got this very, he's known for this infectious giggle
Yeah, I recognize him.
Yeah, he's a very amenable and very pleasant, I should say, probably family-friendly is a better way to put it.
All right.
Comedian, and he's playing throughout the weekend.
Lots going on as usual.
Yeah, always.
It's summer in the city.
Yeah, right.
Joel, thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Great to see you.
Get this month's Madison Magazine for all the best in the Madison area. And coming up here on Live at 4, a Sun Prairie girl isn't letting a physical challenge stop her from competing on the ice rink.
And then coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 5, a major construction project in Janesville is delayed. Hear from business owners about what that could mean for them. That's coming up tonight at 5.
Take a look at this. It's the latest optical illusion post to go viral on social media. Many people see this and they see a painting of a beach. Well, it's not a painting of a beach. According to the Twitter user who posted it, it's a picture of a damaged car door.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Wait, well, you see it now. Some say once you know, the car door is obvious. For others, there you go. See, there's the car door, and there's the ground underneath, and it's bent.
I don't know, maybe it's this weather, but I still see a beach.
Well, that's what it says. Some people see a beach and they say they can't unsee it.
So this is like the dress thing, was it?
The blue.
Right.
But
do you see the car door?
Yeah, I see the car door.
You do? Are you okay?
It's the lower part of a car door. It needs to be repaired. If you see it now, look at the metal.
Nope.
No,
Still no.
David, I don't have it. All right. Well, a Kenosha man says he didn't mean to get caught in the middle of a proposal picture. Here it is. You can see Tony Martin caught in between a photographer and a man proposing to his girlfriend. This is in Chicago's Lincoln Park Zoo.
And Martin was part of a group running to shelter as it began to rain. The photo has made the rounds on social media, and the couple was even interviewed on Good Morning America. They say they found the picture funny, which, I mean, is the only reaction that you could have.
But he looks awfully posed. I think it's a car door.
Yeah, there's a beach behind him, right?
Exactly. That's funny.
That is funny.
Well, nothing to laugh about coming in the weather next week.
No, a prolonged stretch of hot and humid weather is on the way with temperatures near 90 basically every day. And heat index values well into the triple digits. We will break all of it down in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes. Good afternoon. I hope you had a really nice Thursday so far. The clouds cleared out earlier this morning across southern Wisconsin. We've been left with a beautiful, sunny, not that humid day across much of the state. You could see those clouds kind of traveling south down an atmospheric river of sorts. Not really, but it just kind of looked like they were traveling through the water there. Speaking of the water, we're watching the Gulf of Mexico very closely because we have seen Tropical Storm Barry form throughout the morning hours, and it continues to spin in the Gulf of Mexico. Max winds at about 40 miles per hour right now. There have been some updates to this that really won't concern us all that much. We're not really expecting this to become a hurricane anymore, maybe a high-end tropical storm, but really that's not the big story here. The big story for the Gulf, especially for portions of Louisiana, is going to be the massive amount of rain that this storm is going to create over the next 2 to 3 days or so. Already some very heavy downpours reported from that moisture, and actually we could see a little bit get in the way of that moisture make its way up to southern Wisconsin by the middle of next week. It's actually the only hope that we have at this point to really get these temperatures to not be in the 90s. But our rain chances, actually, compared to what we were seeing on our forecast models yesterday, have gone down for the middle of the week. So we'll still keep a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday, but really every other day is an alert day for the hot and humid weather. High temperatures in the lower to middle 90s. Heat index values anywhere from the low 90s into the mid to upper triple digits at times. So we really need to take this heat seriously. It will be around for quite some time. And we have 8 straight days in the forecast right now of 90-degree heat or above. And that would get us close to some of the all-time records for consecutive 90-degree days. And 5th place was back in 1989 when early July we had 9 straight days. But the all-time record is back in 1901 of the 13th of July to the 27th, 15 straight days. Hopefully we don't see anything like that, but this heat really doesn't show any signs of stopping as we get into next week. In Platteville and Queen Bee Radio Skycam, there we go. We are looking at some nicer conditions than what are in the forecast for next week, so we'll enjoy this nice weather while we have it. A great evening to get outside in Madison on the Edgewater Skycam. Forecast high, or the actual high for today, 82, right near normal for this time of year. Our low temperature started off about 5 degrees above normal this morning. Temperatures in some other spots were at 80 in Watertown, 84 in Janesville, 82 in Mineral Point and Platteville, and 83 in Prairie du Chien. Man, if these dew points could stick around into next week, we really wouldn't have much to worry about. Unfortunately, they'll be about 10 to, in some cases, 15 to 20 degrees higher than what we're experiencing today. So pretty comfortable air in town. I would call it noticeable. I'd still call the upper 50s pretty comfortable outside. But once we start getting back into the 70s like we saw earlier this week, and that we will see consistently into next week, that's the oppressive and in some cases miserable. Heaven forbid that we get into the 80s because that is just really tough to be outside for any extended length of time. So for tonight, mostly clear and comfortable. Temperatures falling into the upper 50s. As we head into tomorrow, we'll be in the mid 80s, so a few degrees warmer, but still not too humid. That's the important thing. Mostly sunny skies and those temperatures in the mid 80s. So on Future Track, we're pretty quiet, ending up in the upper 50s to start our Friday morning. For the rest of Friday, not too many clouds showing up on our latest run of Future Track, allowing those temperatures to get into the mid 80s. And then on Saturday, highs should make it into the mid to upper 80s. There is an outside chance of maybe some showers and thunderstorms, especially across southwestern Wisconsin. So maybe have the umbrella ready to go late on Friday into much of the day on Saturday. But I really think most of us will stay dry. And then 8 straight alert days on the 10-day forecast. For the heat and humidity, those temperatures don't get below 90 degrees for the foreseeable future. And as I mentioned, with that humidity, it will be oppressive to miserable at times. It could feel like the triple digits for much of next week. And our long-term forecast models really don't see a break in this heat and humidity until we get to really the end of this month. Hopefully that doesn't come to pass, and hopefully we can see that heat break a little bit sooner than what our forecast models are kind of telling us. But at this point, it really doesn't look that likely.
And not much rain either. Doesn't look like there's rain.
No, and so the rain would help with the heat, ideally, and not necessarily the humidity, but only some slight chances for rain here and there, and most of us will stay dry. So
dew points in the 80s?
I mean, I'm not forecasting that.
It doesn't have to rain.
I mean, but upper 70s are definitely possible for some of us.
Welcome to Central America.
Something like that.
Something like that, Dave. Thanks, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Inspirational stories of athletes are one of the best things about sports, and they exist at every level.
Mike Kirchhoff found inspiration at a preteen girls ice hockey summer camp in Heartland, Wisconsin.
As far as her coaches knew, Lily Rosenthal was just another goalie at former Olympian Janelle Sergey's Crazy 8 hockey camp in Heartland. When Lily's parents signed her up, they didn't mention one small detail.
She asked me not to. I just wanted to surprise them.
Because in her goalie pads on the ice, You'd have no idea the Sun Prairie 12-year-old has 2 prosthetic legs.
That's the one thing about hockey I kind of like. I want people to see her as a player and not as a player with prosthetic legs.
Lily's parents adopted her from Northwest China when she was 2.5. She was born without a fibula in both legs, club feet, missing toes. Her legs were amputated at the ankle at 3.5.
Once the cast came off and we had her fitted for prosthetics, she was off and running, and you know, if she wanted to try something, we didn't stop her. I don't think you could.
She wanted to be a goalie like her sister. She stops pucks with whatever she's got, glove, blocker, and legs too.
If you think of them, you just get scored on. So you just have to be in the game.
I'm just very inspired by her. I think, you know, I have a camp of 88 girls here, and they all notice Lily. And I think it would be hard for them not to be inspired by her. She works hard, and she's not letting it limit what she wants to do.
That is amazing and inspiring.
Yeah,
Lily's family says the coaches on all of her teams have been supportive, and right now she plays with the DC Diamond Girls in Waunakee.
Congratulations to her.
Yeah.
When we come back, we mark a milestone next week, the 50th anniversary of man landing on the moon. That happened on June 20th.
But 4 days later, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, another milestone, retrieving the Apollo 11 capsule and its astronauts. Our next guest had a pivotal role, and we'll meet him when Live at 4 continues.
Live look at the Memorial Union on this July day. Beautiful out there. Now, this was the scene in the Pacific Ocean on July 24th, 1969. The Apollo 11 capsule splashed down following its trip to the moon and back. And the first Navy SEAL frogman into the water to help rescue the astronauts was a then 20-year-old named John Wolfram from Fort Atkinson. He attached a seed anchor to the capsule before being joined by his fellow teammates. 50 years later, that Navy frogman joins us here on Live at 4 with a story to tell.
John Wolfram, welcome to Live at 4.
Thank you for having me.
It is so nice to meet you. That video is so incredible to watch. Where were you on the video?
I was the first guy in the water. Swam up to the capsule. I'm the one that attached the sea anchor, which was a small parachute. And then I was supposed to look in that hatch window to see if the astronauts were okay. They gave me a thumbs up, and then several helicopters up there was some NASA officials, and we gave them the thumbs up that they were okay.
How the heck does a 20-year-old from Fort Atkinson be the guy that jumps in the water to meet these guys that just got back from the moon?
2 years out of high school.
Yeah, I guess just right place at the right time. I went through a Navy SEAL training there in Buds, right at 68. Went to Vietnam for one tour. Came back, and it was time for the Apollo 10 and 11 recoveries, and our team was chosen, and I ended up being one of the guys.
You are leaning on the capsule.
That was me with the flowers, that's right.
Now, what is the story about the flowers?
1960s, folks.
Okay.
You know, it was a very tumultuous time, the Vietnam War, the racial tension, all these things going on. And the Apollo event was kind of a peaceful moment. We wanted to make a statement in the middle of that, and so the hippie movement was, flowers, peace,
So is it true that whoever was closest was going to be the first person to get Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin? Was it just serendipity that you were first, or?
We were chosen to be the primary team. There was 3 rescue groups that could have got in the water. Each one was prepared. We were the furthest away, but the capsule turned upside down, and it took a few minutes for it to upright. And so our helicopter was able to get on the scene. The helicopter that was hovering over the capsule, thinking that they were going to get in the water, were told to move. And our primary team was on location, and the rest is history.
Were you just doing your job, or was there butterflies? Were you nervous?
You rehearse this thing so many times. We rehearsed dozens of times in Coronado, San Diego Bay. We joined the Hornet out in Hawaii and worked with them for a couple weeks. So we were so into this that it was just second, nature to do this.
Where in the Pacific were you?
Between Hawaii and Guam somewhere, Samoa, I guess, way out there in the middle of the Pacific.
There you are in the water.
That's incredible. Look at this video. And were you watching it on the helicopter?
No, there was no view there. In fact, back in the 60s, no satellite TV, so we just had updates from NASA and so forth.
What was going through your mind when you looked in that capsule?
Well, it was exciting to think that I was the first guy to jump in the water, to see the astronauts that just got back from the moon. It was good to see that they were okay. They were smiling and had a thumbs up.
So when you looked in the window, were all of them giving you the thumbs up? Who did you see?
Well, Armstrong was the first one out, so I'm assuming that was him right near the door.
Did you keep in touch with the astronauts?
I've got mementos. Armstrong sent me a picture that said, "To John Wolfram, who shared in our great adventure," but I've never met him in person outside of
Really? That's the only time you ever met?
Yeah.
Wow. And this is one of the astronauts, obviously.
That's one of the astronauts going up in that Billy Pugh net.
And we think the pilot of this helicopter is from Madison as well.
That would be Don Jones piloting that helicopter, and one of the frogmen are from Chippewa Falls. That was Clancy.
What are the odds of this?
3 Wisconsin guys. That's incredible.
Yeah. Clancy was the biological isolation swimmer. He was the one that washed down the capsule.
Because they're afraid of contamination or whatever.
Yeah, moon pathogens. They said they did find one, but we got it. It was called the lunatic.
Well, what a story.
It is an incredible story.
That's not true, folks.
Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
50th
I wish I could introduce you to my dad. He did Bud's training too, and he would love to meet you. It's an incredible part of history.
Tell him I appreciate his service.
You live in Atlanta now?
Powder Springs, Atlanta, right out there. Yes, sir.
Have a safe trip home.
Welcome
Thank you very
back
much.
to Wisconsin, John. It's an honor to meet you.
Okay.
Still to come at 4. Up until now, no company was competing with Tesla. He's in a hurry.
He's in a hurry.
Nobody was competing with Tesla in the luxury all-electric vehicle segment.
That is until now. When we come back, we go behind the wheel with Harvey Briggs in the brand new all-electric Jaguar I-Pace. Stay with us.
Good afternoon. Here is your first alert traffic update. Crews just about a minute or two ago just cleaned up an accident right near Fish Hatchery Road on the eastbound Beltline. So there are going to be some pretty hefty delays showing up all the way back to about Whitney Way on the eastbound Beltline. We're also noticing some slow go on the westbound side closer to Park Street, and those delays start to lighten up a little bit as we get closer to Broadway. So here are your drive times. 35 minutes right now. University Ave eastbound to the interstate. Average speed of around 25 miles per hour. And some other routes in and around Madison. The other direction, a little bit slow. 19 minutes from the interstate to University Ave. Average speed of around 50 miles per hour. That is your first alert traffic update.
All right, Dave, thank you. A prickly scene, boy, that's the word for it, unfolded in Tucson, Arizona, when a driver crashed into a cactus and the cactus went right through his windshield. The black sports car hit the cactus while crossing a median before it ended up on the other side of the road, but not before the cactus slammed against the windshield. The driver sustained only minor injuries, but was taken into custody after showing signs of impairment.
That's a little frightening.
Boy, is he lucky. Well, until now, if you were in the market for an electric luxury crossover vehicle, you only had one choice, the Tesla Model X.
But now you have two choices because British automaker Jaguar has just introduced the I-Pace, an all-electric crossover with a range of almost 240 miles. Is it a true Tesla beater? Let's find out as we go behind the wheel with Harvey Briggs. First things first.
Yes.
It's a Jaguar.
No, it's a Jaguar.
Jaguar?
Jaguar. That's how the Brits pronounce it. And it certainly isn't Jaguar.
So here it is, the 2019 Jaguar. Let's stick with Jaguar for this report. This is Jag's first all-electric vehicle.
There's an electric motor underneath here in between the front wheels, and there's an electric motor between the back wheels, and in between there's basically a skateboard type frame of batteries.
Let's look under the hood.
Here you go. Ready? You can see all the
Wow,
space.
Hey,
no.
Wait a minute.
and that's it.
Well, windshield washer fluid.
Yeah, windshield washer fluid you've got. And then you have just a little storage area here for a computer bag or whatever else you might want to throw up front.
The future.
It's here, man. The future is here.
And that future is awfully quiet. It's also still quite expensive. The I-Pace starts at $62,000. To get all the good stuff like our test model, that'll set you back $86,000. But that's still about 10 grand less than the Tesla Model X, its main competition. A hefty price that should come down eventually. When it comes to all-electric vehicles, other than price, the biggest thing is range. How far can you go on a single charge? The I-Pace's range is 238 miles, about the same as the Tesla, but with Tesla, you have an option of a bigger, longer-range battery. 238 miles for Harvey.
It still feels like it's not quite enough. You want to take this to Chicago, you can get there, but you're going to have to find some place to charge it before you can come home. Everybody knows that's the big issue, range and charge time. As soon as those things go and the price comes down a little bit, then electric will take over because it really is a superior driving experience. It's quieter, it's more powerful, you get better acceleration, all that stuff that comes with it, and it's better ultimately for the environment. This is a car that you buy because you want to drive an electric car. You don't buy it because you want a luxury car, although it is a luxurious electric car.
Recharging time can be as little as 40 minutes on a supercharger. Now, moving beyond the electricness of this vehicle, how does it stack up as a car? Pretty well. It is a Jag, after all, a really techie Jag. So is this a car or a computer?
It's a car with a really big computer. Actually, that's a really good question because you look at Tesla, and they're a tech company that makes cars. And now this Jaguar, Audi, these other car companies they're car companies that are really getting into technology. And what you have is a really nice luxury car, great leather interior. You've got really nice, highly glossed burled wood trim accents. It's exactly what you would expect from Jaguar to deliver.
It's a nice car.
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Now we know.
Jaguar.
Did you drive it?
No, I didn't drive. He doesn't let me drive. He's better than that. But there's more coming out. Audi's coming out with an expensive crossover, BMW, Mercedes. So gradually, as he said, you buy it because you want an electric car.
That is a beautiful electric car.
It's spectacular.
Yeah. For $86,000.
It should be.
Yeah.
Just go to ridesanddrives.com. Harvey has more information on this Jaguar. We'll be right back with our final check your forecasting. enjoy the relative warmth.
Yeah, the pleasantly warm temperatures right now, because there will be nothing pleasant about the weather, really not at all, as we head into next week. Right now, we're in the low 80s pretty much everywhere across southern Wisconsin, some 70s showing up closer to Lake Michigan. Day planner for tomorrow starting off in the 50s. Clear skies are going to be with us through much of our Friday as well. Highs a little bit warmer because of that sunshine in the mid-80s by tomorrow afternoon. After that, maybe a few showers and storms late on Friday, and throughout the day on Saturday, there's a couple of chances for showers and storms as well. After that, it's a different story. The heat and humidity build in, and they build in to stay, and they lay down roots, and they have a couple kids at this point. Nice neighborhood, because, yeah, it's going to be around for a while.
That's when it gets tough, when it's day after day after day, and it doesn't break.
It's 70 at night.
Yeah, that's really, really tough. So hopefully it breaks soon.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Tomorrow here on Live at 4, our canine correspondents, Lola and Louie, have the best animal stories of the week.
And the art fair on the square is this weekend. We'll meet one of the artists at this year's fair and find out what makes her work so personal. That's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4. In today's Final Touch, how about a cup of coffee?
Better yet, how about a